Okay, so hello everyone. This is the next episode of the Expert Talk, and today I'm very excited because I'm talking to Randy. Hey Randy, how are you?
It's excellent. It's great to be alive every day.
Okay, this is Randy, I guess Randy Lyman, how to pronounce your name correctly?
Pronounced Lyman.
Lyman. Okay, very interesting. So Randy Lyman, and I'm happy to have you here today in the podcast show. And as all listeners and viewers know, I start always with a very short introduction of my guest, which is you today. So I make my homework, and I would like to introduce you very quickly. So if I'm right, you have over 30 years of experience as a physicist, which is very interesting. You are an entrepreneur and a leader in emotional intelligence. So, which is super interesting, and I very appreciate this topic. And also, you support service-based leadership. You built an eight-figure company or more. I'm not quite sure how many you built actually, but one of them was included in the Inc. 500. So for people who are not familiar with Inc., so this is just a magazine, just a very famous magazine. And today, I guess they list 5,000 companies, private companies in America. And Randy had one of those companies ranked under the top 500. So a company which was, or maybe is still, I'm not quite sure, scaling at hyperspeed. So this is how I would like maybe to describe it. Yeah. And yeah, Randy is today here with me, and he has also several patents, which is also interesting because he's a physicist. And yes, and you also wrote a book, which is named The Third Element. And this is a platform for emotional healing and human-centered performance. So, Randy, I'm very happy to have you here today. Sorry for all the technicalities, but yeah, the stage is yours.
Well, thank you. It's good to be here, and I'm looking forward to your questions and talking about how the emotional side of being human has such a positive effect on our thoughts and our actions in all areas of our life.
It's very nice. So, my first question is, I'm sorry, related to the Inc. 500 listing because I'm curious. What was or is the company's business which was listed under the 500s?
At that point in time, I was a warehouse wholesale distributor of automotive axle parts for crown and pinion and differential parts. And I had started that company in 1996. I sold everything I had in 96 and started over. And in 2003, we made the Inc. 500 list as the America's fastest growing private companies. And I worked with a wonderful team. I worked with an amazing team of people, and together we made it happen.
Wow, I'm so excited, and really, like, I have no words for what you just said. It's very impressive, really impressive. Okay, you answered the first question. Now let's speak about emotional intelligence. So, in my world, a lot of people like to judge or to, let's say, to speak about intelligence like rational intelligence, right? So how fast you can calculate things, how fast you can decide on decisions or something, So it's more or less mathematical for me, intelligence. But you build a platform for emotional intelligence and also emotional healing. So what is emotional intelligence?
There are a lot of definitions. My definition of emotional intelligence is we're comfortable with our emotions. We're aware of our emotions, and we don't fight our emotions. Now, we don't make decisions based on emotion, but we're aware of the irritations that come up. We're aware of the wonderful feelings inside of us that we may try to suppress because of the way we grew up. But we're very aware of our emotions, and we let that energy flow through us freely so that then our thoughts can be more effective and our actions can be more effective. And these unseen emotional wounds from the past don't influence us negatively today.
Very nice definition. And how important is emotional intelligence, especially in business? So if I would like to be a leader, leading a team, for example.
Well, the power means, from a scientist's definition, power means the ability to accomplish work, to get things done. And as a leader, we're leading a team of people because we cannot do the work ourselves. So our power as a leader comes from the effectiveness of our team, and the effectiveness of our team really comes down to how much they understand we're here to support them. When our team realizes that we as a leader are here to serve them, that we are in a position where we're genuine, we're authentic, we're vulnerable, and we really trust them, then they trust us. And then together we can accomplish more work. And in business, it's all about getting the job done. And the numbers don't drive the people, but the people drive the numbers. So it's all about our connection with our team. And do we believe in our team, and does our team believe in us? And the only way to accomplish that is to address the emotional side of human interactions, human relationships.
Very nice what you just said. I would like to quote, that people drive the numbers, which is 100% true. Yeah. Do you think there should be, there's a question I have on my list, something about emotions and KPIs. But my question is maybe a bit more provocative. I would like to ask, should we maybe use not standard KPIs, or other? Should we include emotional intelligence as a kind of a KPI?
Yes, we really always need to stay focused on the metrics, the KPIs of how the business is successful. But then when it comes down to the emotional side of that, it's how comfortable are people at work? How are their relationships with the people they work with? And I'm going to break it down into three things that I've found to be most important. The first is people need to be acknowledged for who they are as an individual. And this comes back to management, to leadership. Are we acknowledging the people we work with as individuals and who they are? The second is, do the people we work with, our team members, do they feel like they're contributing to the cause? Because a lot of people's lives just don't have a lot of meaning. But if we can help people understand and feel that they're contributing at work, now we're helping them give meaning to their lives. And if they can have meaning in their work they do, that really makes a big difference on the impact they have. And then the third thing is, do they feel like they belong to the group? And so it takes certain behaviors on behalf of the leader, certain actions. We have to listen, we have to be aware, and we have to acknowledge. Now, again, we're not making decisions based on emotions, but our relationships between us and our leadership team, between us and the people we lead throughout the company, depends on our relationship with them. And that comes down to our interactions with them, seeing them as spiritual beings on a human path. They're not just their mind. They're not just their body. They are deeper than that on many levels. And when we approach our team from we take the approach that these people have a greater depth, and we acknowledge that greater depth within our team members, they show up more completely.
I really like everything what you just said. I'm just asking, how could we measure, from a scientific point of view, how could we maybe measure emotional intelligence? Because we can measure, the IQ, we can measure, but how to measure the emotions?
Well, it comes down to a lot of that's qualitative. It's tough to do it quantitative. But one program I did in my business that worked really well was we had something I call above and beyond, where peers recognize their peers when somebody did more than they had to do, when they really helped somebody out. And at first, people thought, yeah, right, this isn't going to last. But we had a piece of paper, 3-part form, where I could say, yeah, somebody in accounting, John in accounting, helped me take care of this problem, and we made the sale and made the customer happy. So I fill out the form, acknowledging when it happened, acknowledging how it happened. One form I give to the person, they can display it on their desk. Another form goes into the HR file, and then the third form goes into a hat, and at the end, or a can. At the end of the month, in the monthly meeting, we randomly draw out 3 or 4, and people get acknowledged in front of their peers for going above and beyond and doing more than they had to do. And so that's one way to measure it. But really what we saw was people interacted differently when their peers and management team recognized them for doing more, and people started to do more. And this is not a scientific way to measure it, but as we saw this program really take off after months and months and months, we saw more people recognizing each other tangibly through this program. And the mood changed, because people won't really go out of their way to help someone else unless they know management approves that. People are always looking to leadership for what's acceptable and what's not. So this program of recognizing people going above and beyond was a great way to help people feel acknowledged and a great way to measure the effectiveness of how we all interacted and recognized each other.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, I really appreciate that you just said you measure the outcome, right? You don't need to measure the emotional intelligence itself, but you can measure the improvement. And this is a very smart way. Yeah, very interesting.
And we see we can feel good management can walk through the building or walk into a room, and if they're calm and centered, if I'm calm and centered, I can feel what's going on around me. That's not just a feminine, a female intuition thing. That's a gut feel. That's a being calm and centered. And I talk a lot about as men, as leadership, in a position of leadership, we can call on our feminine traits, our feminine characteristics of intuition and caring and compassion, and that doesn't make us less of a man, and that actually makes us more respected as leaders. So having a feeling of what's going on and having a sense of how people are getting along, that's a big part of being a balanced leader. It's not always something I can measure directly. And as a scientist, I want to measure everything. As you've implied, it's a great idea. But when we walk through the building and we can sense that people are getting along and there's fewer complaints and people are happy at work, that is the best way I can measure it above and beyond the scientific surveys and other things that are a distraction from what was really going on.
Yeah, for me, it's more like an unspoken topic, right? So if you go to companies and you review their HR teams, in general, how human resources, I mean the departments, yeah, interact with the employees, it's not like really asking, what where issues are. It's just like reacting. And this is, I guess, a thing, what you said that could be improved. That you really listen to the changes, that you just try things, that you change your mind, your just how you interact with other people. And it's very funny that you said it's not just a female thing, being like centered and emotional awake or something like this. This is very true. Yeah, I very much appreciate.
And as men, as young boys and men in junior high school and high school, it's brutal because those who feel weak are looking for someone else who's weak to pick on and attack so they feel better about themselves. So a boy, a young man, has to really be masculine to make it through high school. And then we come out of high school and we think, oh, I still need to be tough and force my way through the rest of the world. And that's not reality.
Yep.
We as men can protect and provide and take positive action. And at the same time, now that we're adults and we're in a different, more mature world with more wisdom, we can draw on the strength of feministic traits, the feminine traits of being human. And that actually makes us a better leader because when people feel safe around us, when we're not forcing them to do what we want them to do, when we're recognizing them for who they are, we're allowing them to have their own personal behaviors and characteristics and personality, then they feel safer around us. And then they listen to what we have to say because it's not just a battle between us and our team members. It's about collaboration. It's about cooperation. It's about shared vision.
This brings me to my next question, because you said as young boys, right, it was brutal, to raise and then you be, like, I mean, what you just said. I was thinking maybe, could it be possible to implement, in the future, like emotional intelligence, like courses, that people can attend? So is emotional intelligence teachable? This is my question.
Yes, absolutely. And what we really need is more people, especially men, who have learned to embody a different way of showing up that's more caring and compassionate and share their stories about their fears of being vulnerable, share their stories about their fears of not being respected, and share their stories about success by listening, success by group problem solving, success by admitting when they're wrong and working with their team to find solutions together. Now, it takes the right team. It can't be done with a team that's not caring. But when we work with people who are capable, people who really care, then we as leaders can show up different. And when in sharing those stories about how it worked for us, that gives other people the courage and the confidence to try a different way of showing up as a leader.
Okay, let's move a bit back to business. Maybe I'm just assuming maybe the hidden success factor in any business is emotional intelligence within the company. So this is just an assumption, right? I don't know, but
Well, let's talk about Southwest Airlines. When Herb Keller was alive, Southwest Airlines is a very successful American company. He always made it about his people. He always made it fun. He was always respectful. He wasn't stuffy. He was relatable. He was genuine. And he helped the people. He created an environment where people could have fun at work. So the Southwest employees, from the pilots to the service attendants to the people who handled baggage, they all felt like they belonged. They all felt safe. They all knew that they were appreciated. And that was an example of a very successful global company that was based on emotional intelligence that started with the leadership.
very interesting. I saw once their employer branding movie, and this was very interesting, and I felt like this company is very interesting. I mean, the image they just show off. This is to the public. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sorry.
Right.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
When the team members know they're supported, they show up and give their best. When team members are worried because management is stressed and too critical, we have to identify problems to be fixed, but it's also our job to identify successes and acknowledge people for their successes. And when we're able to make that change in our approach, the entire environment changes. Now, that's scary for a left brain leader who's all about order and numbers and structure and discipline, because I didn't understand that 35 years ago. But as I started to understand that, that was the environment that I created, a place where it was fun to work.
I would also question. I mean, I'm a big fan. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, I'm a big fan of emotional intelligence. For me, it's the highest. It's the holy grail, right? So this is my understanding of emotional intelligence, the holy grail to reach. But to implement and also to teach people and companies, to improve their emotional intelligence skills, I guess this might result in some extra work because interacting with people and taking care of how they feel, what they feel, and what makes them happy is like it's work, from one point of view. You know what I mean?
It is a big investment. It's an investment of really months and years. And it's two different factors that are important. The first is I, as a leader, had to get through my own emotional baggage of disappointment, frustration, and anger, and work through all my own issues. And I cover that in my book, The Third Element, as to how people can do that. Then once I'm more clear without my baggage, then I have to invest time to listen. I have to invest time to teach people how to make decisions. So if I'm going to have my team be involved in a decision-making process, I have to teach them my 4 steps of decision-making and project management. And it takes time to teach. But now, once my team has learned and the culture has changed, and I've made that investment of months or maybe investment of several years, my job is so much easier. I show up and I guide where they need me, but they all grow and they learn and they improve and they embody leadership capabilities and a leadership approach themselves. And that's where the investment pays off.
This sounds like heaven. I would work for this company.
I was fortunate. I got to work with an amazing group of people, and it took a long time to find the right people. But once I did, and they figured out that I believed in them, and they figured out they could believe in themselves and they could believe in each other and they could work through their problems together. I had to teach them how to disagree and work through it. But once they realized they could disagree, they could have challenges, and they could find solutions together, then my job was so much easier. The last 5, almost 6 years that I owned my company, I was not on site. I was remote, and I helped with the bigger problems. But they then started to problem solve between themselves. They found solutions on their own because they knew I believed in them and they started to believe in themselves.
Okay, more or less last question. I could talk with you for hours. It's very exciting. If I'm now like a company CEO, yeah, and I'm interested in the whole topic of improving the emotional intelligence in my company, yeah, and to grow, to drive higher numbers through my employees, how could I work with you? So, yeah, how can we get together?
Well, first of all, I love to work with people who are curious about what else is possible. They're interested in a deeper meaning in everything that we do and that they do. And then I would say first, read my book, The Third Element. And that will give people an understanding that I take a logical and reasonable approach to emotions. And if they read the book and say, yes, this makes sense, then I do one-on-one coaching with CEOs. I do group coaching with their management team. So I help leaders first find a deeper part of themselves and be more clear when they show up and understand how they affect the group. And then I help them with specific techniques and behavior changes and processes and programs that really will help their company go to the next level of success.
Okay, one more question, sorry. How about, would you also support young people, you know, like they just came from the university, they are trying to land their first job, you know, they maybe are trying to get their first leadership position? Because, I mean, that's my question, but just to add on, I think it's difficult if you are young and you have not the access to like a teacher like you are once, yeah, like an expert with the emotional intelligence knowledge, yeah.
Yeah, so I do one-on-one coaching with individuals as well. And through my website, randylyman.com, it's RANDYLYMAN.com, get access to my book, my programs, and such. I have events every few weeks where people can see a little bit more about what I do on a level of emotional healing. But I do one-on-one with individuals and with business leadership, because for me, the reason I'm doing this is I'm already successful. I don't need any of this. I don't even need to be here, but I enjoy seeing people find success. I enjoy seeing people find a deeper part of themselves they didn't know that was there, a deeper sense of what they can accomplish and confidence. And I want to see the world become a better place, because there's so much we don't understand yet about emotions. And I've had great experience and great success through what I've learned, and I'm here to share that in any way that I can.
Thank you so much, Randy. It was a pleasure talking to you. And I'm very excited. I really need to buy your book. I already have a question. Maybe you can spoiler. This will be my last question. Sorry for that. Why you are calling it The Third Element? Just a spoiler.
Everything in the universe fits into one of three categories: our thoughts and information, our physical body and the physical world, and our emotions. And so three different categories or elements. And the third category, the third element that to me has definitely become the most important, is our emotions. And emotions are bigger than time and space, and our emotional baggage from the past, our emotional trauma we have not felt completely and released, influences all areas of our life. So when we clear out and address that third element of who we are, our thoughts are more effective and our actions are more effective, and we can create a better life at home, at work, in our community, and everywhere. So that third element is our emotional well-being.
Thank you so much, Randy Lyman. It was a pleasure talking to you today. I very appreciate the time, the knowledge you shared, and folks out there, buy Randy's book. It's really worth, you know, to do it and to improve your emotional skills. To any CEOs, if you are interested in working with Randy, just give us an email and then we are going to connect you. So thank you so much, Randy. It was a pleasure. I wish you a wonderful day. And yeah, we talk soon.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me on. This is fun.